the need to prove that you created something is growing. And something that a good friend of ours, Luca, is very done a lot of research on and talks to me about was, I can't remember the exact study it was to reference, I'll find it, but it was less creative people, they find the usage of AI to be more helpful,
beneficial.
more beneficial in their creative process and ideation. More creative people find it less helpful because there's kind of a standard right there. So if you imagine it kind of here.
And I think that contributes to the general idea of like, that the ideas that ideas are still basically the main currency, I suppose. And on that level, I think the like level to which AI helps you and the level to which you're reliant on it, and in the same way as like in the days before AI, if you were copying someone like word for word or pixel for pixel in terms of what they designed or created, that then that's not creativity. Equally, if you're doing something devoid of any inspiration, that's not creativity. And I guess we find ourselves in a bit of a similar place with AI now, where I think it can give you a leg up if you're starting from nothing, but the best stuff is still being done with the people, by the people with the ideas and by the people with creativity in them. And I think that because of that democratization of the power of creativity, more importantly than ever, it's important to protect your ideas if you're the person generating. Where do we all see AI going at this point? I feel like it's reasonable to say that AI isn't going to immediately be taking the jobs of every creative in the very short term here. So I don't think I see it as a massive threat to creativity in the short term. But that said, like, what's the best way to actually make use of it in your workflow, in your creative process right now? Is it to generate a final product, you reckon, like from your perspective? I've definitely got some feelings on this myself, but yeah.
I mean, I think it depends on the creative process, and it depends on what you want the outcome actually to be. But I find that the most advantageous use to it is embedded somewhere in the creative process. So for instance, let's say we're making some sort of animated character. You want to actually have, that character to be functional and have a mesh and, animated properties and rigging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And right now you can't just create something to a high quality standard that then could be used in a VFX film. But you could use AI to adjust a map that may sit on top of that animated character, or at least to run really quick ideas of what the map could look like if you were to adjust it. Now, that may not then end up being something that heads into actual production, but it's a way to visualize.
Yeah.
I think that's really important and really exciting. And I see my students using that now in all facets of design. I think it really falls down in ideation. I think it's good if it's used with a strong idea to then maybe flesh out visuals next to it.
A
concept
pre-existing
boarding.
knowledge of the subject, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think then it works quite well. I mean, the one thing that I tend to use it for now is I actually quite like it a bit more for search. But every time it tells me something, I am immediately clicking into the source to see if that's real. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the thing, right? It's like such a shortcut, isn't it, to information? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it is a shortcut to information, and that's one of the things that's always on my mind. If outcome is so attainable and achievable now, in terms of like the new generation up and coming, who are going to the AI is going to be like the internet was to Ty and I, right? So if the outcome is so achievable, what does that mean for students or the next generation understanding true process, right? Does that diminish process if outcome is so achievable, right? I think the best way and usage of AI really is once you understand and you have the education of, I achieved this outcome by these different methodologies, making these mistakes, these processes, speaking to these people led to this outcome. Without that, and you're just jumping here, surely that numbs the outcome and standardizes the outcome and lacks. I think it's disencouraging in that sense. But if you ask the AI with the consideration of not only your intent, but ask it to maybe even assist you with that process. I think if you get your instructions clear, it can have a better result. For example, if I was to say, could you write me a blog article on football versus can you write me an article on football about free kicks, of when I kick a ball and the aerodynamics of that Roberto Carlos free kicks and how that applies to today. Has the ball changed? And so therefore you get two outcomes of blog posts, but the outcome is wildly different, or based on me understanding that creative process and what I want from it. Because AI is currently rigged on the premise of trying to give you the best outcome it thinks that you want. So the less information you give it, the less informed it is to give.
But I think this goes in the direction of, you know, I think an interesting thing that we've discussed about Provenir is that, like, the usage of AI itself is becoming commoditized in that, you know, prompt engineering is becoming a thing. And in our way of looking at Provenir, we've always seen it as a way to create, to protect the creative process. But I think almost what you're hinting at there is that some of the AI usage is now becoming part of the creative process, which is a really interesting cyclical thing. Obviously, with Provenir, we're trying to protect artworks and creative work at all levels, including in this, you know, AI race now.
But potentially dangerous because it can encourage the laziness.
Well, you know, I think, but more interestingly, it also gives us an opportunity to not only protect the resultant work, but also, you know, some of the prompting and some of the ideation that now is actually going back into AI, you know, during that creative process. And I think what's really interesting about this space is that, we started wanting to protect the process and the outcome from AI, and that sometimes now, in some cases, AI is increasingly becoming part of the creative process. But to your point, that foundational creative process understanding is essential as well.
Yeah, but I think, but I would also add on to that is it can be a heightened opportunity for the creatives that are curious, right? For something that I've seen and really enjoyed using AI is asking it questions of its own way of thinking, how much it understands of my current way of thinking. So, and something that's
once
really
again, and even that is like turning into a race in our creative world. Those who can get to that point and, you know, understand how to push it to its limits and get the very most out of it, that in of itself is becoming an idea and a skill worth protecting. It's so interesting and meta.
What can be quite a scary question if you're brave enough to ask AI is
how many R's are there in strawberry?
no, how many R's are in strawberry? It is ask it to create a picture of everything it knows about you. So if you've been using it for obviously X amount of time, all the different threads that you've created, questions, what picture does it paint of you? And it's a really good kind of a depiction of what it's learned about you, how accurate it is, and like I said, can be a little bit scary as well.